Hi, and welcome to this edition of the Insurance Experts. It's my pleasure to have on the line Justin Harrold. Justin is a long-term care insurance specialist, and he's been in the industry for many years. Thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. My pleasure, Mark.
Okay, so I wanted to talk to you about, first of all, how you got into long-term care and a little bit about your personal story. So how did that happen?
Yeah, so long-term care for me, I got into the financial services industry in 2006. And after a few years of being in the industry, quickly learned that I had a desire to help people with their insurance needs, whether that be life insurance or long-term care insurance. And long-term care insurance became a big need for many of our clients. Many of our clients have businesses, small businesses, farming, etc. And we realized the ability for them to have a great product that could protect them and their loved ones while also running it through their business and deducting it as well.
Oh, wow, that's a cool concept. I know we're going to talk some more about that, but first of all, you look like a pretty young guy. Do you own long-term care insurance yourself?
I do. I'm 43 years old currently. I've had long-term care insurance for 7 years. In fact, when I was 36, I bought it on a 10-pay. So I'm going to be a 46-year-old male with a fully paid up long-term care contract in a few years.
Very cool. So, you're pretty young to have long-term care. Like, what got you became aware of the long-term care need?
Yeah, certainly. As we started talking to clients about long-term care, I realized how big a need it was going to be. And in fact, if you wanted me to get on my soapbox a little bit, I'll tell you that someday I think one of our next big problems with our economy could be the fact that many Americans don't have long-term care insurance and many people are relying on the system to provide for their medical needs.
hmm Now, do you have a personal experience in your family, or is it just something that you felt was a financially good decision to make?
Obviously, it is a good financial decision to make, and that's part of it. But for me personally, it is a personal situation. My parents bought long-term care coverage before I did, and
hmm
I could see that example. And it's comforting as a child to know that my parents have that coverage, and
hmm
I don't have to worry about potentially taking care of them if they need help. Unfortunately, my in-laws, my wife's family, isn't healthy enough to be able to buy long-term care insurance. And so no matter how much they might believe in it, they just can't get it. And so, as my wife and I take care of our own kids, we realize that someday we may have to take care of one set of parents just because their situation, they were dealt a different hand, if you will. And so
Right.
personally, I see the benefits of long-term care coverage, knowing that at least one side of our parents, they're going to be taken care of because of long-term care insurance.
That's awesome. So I know you've been working with clients recently, and you wanted to share with us a case. Can you tell us a little bit about the clients that you had worked with?
Yeah, so recently we met with, again, another small business owner. And in that case, they were fortunate enough to have bought long term care coverage before, but just didn't buy enough. And when we met with them, they asked us to review their coverage. We found out how much they had, realized the kind of facility that they would want to be in, and realized that we needed to supplement their coverage.
Okay. And what was kind of the backstory? You mentioned they're a small business owner. What was their business?
Yeah, their business is in oil and gas, real estate, and so when we looked at their situation, we realized that they derive so much into their business that if they would need care in the future, there might be a cash flow issue to be able to fund that, and they might be forced to sell some things at an inappropriate time. And so, being able to come back and not just replace the whole thing, but supplement their coverage was a
Mhm.
viable option for them.
Right. Usually the coverage people owned is a good value, and being able to add more coverage to it if necessary makes a lot of sense. Um,
Absolutely.
you mentioned a tax deduction. How exactly does it work in terms of the tax deductibility of the long-term care insurance premiums?
Yeah, so if you own a business, you can deduct the premiums for you and your spouse. There
Mhm.
are limits based on your age, depending on the type of corporation you have. But in this particular client's case, he still had some room that he could deduct on top of what he had been deducting on his previous policy, and so this made it almost a no-brainer for him to continue to get the coverage that he needed.
Okay, so even though there's a limit to what you can deduct based on age, there's still a pretty substantial cap to what they could add to their old policy.
Absolutely.
So what type of plan did you recommend? What it was at a recurring premium? You'd mentioned you have a 10-year premium payment. What did you recommend for them?
Yeah, so in their case, their old policy was one that they paid forever, and we discussed that in their case. The good news is they got it locked in a long time ago. The bad news is because there's no end date on their premiums being paid, those premiums can go up occasionally over time, and they have experienced that. And so, as a way to not only add protection but also diversify their policies a little bit, we put this one on a 10-pay so that we know that this one will be paid up in 10 years. And after that, the insurance company won't ask them for any more money, no matter what costs of care due after those 10 years.
Okay, that's a pretty cool deal. So like if you had to give a tip to somebody that's watching this video and considering long-term care insurance, what would be kind of your number one tip for them?
Yeah, I mean, one, definitely do it. It's very valuable and important. And two, do it while you're healthy so you can get the best rates.
That's awesome. And make sure you can qualify, from a health perspective too.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for joining us on today's show. We hope to have you on future episodes, and looking forward to talking to you more.
Hey, appreciate it, Mark. Thank you.